Hi everyone and welcome to Adobe APAC Live. I'm excited to be here. My name's Flynn and I'm hosting this afternoon. I'm here with Jason Grant.
Thank you for having me again, once again.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Thanks for giving up your time and coming back and teaching us all about literally every app that Adobe has on offer.
Yeah, just a smidgen. I think there's a few more, but I've tried to squeeze as many as we can in the 1 hour. So hopefully people can see some of the ideas, how you can work across all of them. We're going to touch into a lot of libraries as well, but we're going to do some of the newer updates, show a little sprinkling of updates, but that full workflow. So, nowadays designers, I think, what would you say? They're more like I've heard of a saying called a T designer.
Yeah, T-shaped designer, which is the design. IDEO, I think, philosophy for designers.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, they're strong in one aspect.
Yep.
But they have to touch a lot more now. So that's quite important for a skill set and for a designer. But it's also good. You need everything needs a bit of love. Everything needs a proper design and idea to it. So this is where hopefully some of this workflow is going to help and let you keep that consistency.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those challenging things that it's really hard to find the time to sit down and say, I'm going to improve my workflow today, because everybody is so time poor. Everyone has so much to do. I'm sure you're all very busy out there. I know that I am. And just when can you dedicate the time to actually keeping up to date with everything and trying to improve those small little things that end up, saving you a lot of time down the track.
Yeah, 100%. And again, between a lot of the apps, there are a lot of common sort of aspects to it. So you do get... even though it's maybe something that you haven't touched before, you will intuitively pick it up and be able to adapt that into your workflow.
Yeah, it's good. So thank you everybody for coming in and joining in the chat. Say hi. We're always interested to find out where you guys are all from. We've had lots of people from all the way around the world in there. So log in and say hi. So you can use your Creative Cloud, so just your Adobe ID to log in the top right-hand corner, and let us know if you have some questions as we go through some of these apps, because we're going to rapid fire this. So we're going to go from app to app to app. So if you guys have any questions, please let us know, and I'm sure Jason will do his best to answer the questions.
Absolutely, yeah. More questions the better.
Yeah.
That shows you're learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Right.
So you keen for us to start? We should just dive straight in.
Yeah.
So the first app we're going to start with is XD. So again, our experience design. So if you're going to do, say, prototyping anything, whether it's an app, website, or so forth, this is where XD comes into its full force. So we're going to start with XD. Going to jump over to InDesign after that. Then I'm going to touch on Capture, Adobe Capture.
Right.
After that, we'll go through to Illustrator, and then move on to Dimensions, and then hopefully we can finish in Rush.
Wow.
So we'll just try to just squeeze what we can.
Okay, cool.
So,
I like it.
Yeah, so XD.
Hey Scott, hey Festus, just a shout out to everyone that's there.
Hello, everyone. So the first one we have is we've got a website that's started on in XD. So this is our basic design. So most of the design today is going to be focused around this one called Sparrow. So it's a movie in our fictitious company called Real. So what we're going to use that as our inspiration, and we're going to show how across the board everything's going to sort of revolve and how we're going to touch into assets and so forth.
Cool.
So here we have our standard design. You can sort of see it skips between pages and so forth. It's quite a nice design. Okay,
so we have a bit of a theme going on there. It's all very, very clean, but you've got that kind of texture of the paintbrush kind of coming across the top.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
So that's part of the branding. So straight up here, we've got our first page. So we've got our app itself. Then the first movie here is our MREC. I think I have showed this before, but I'll just quickly touch on it and show another little tip on top. So here we've got it. We're going to make a carousel, so it's going to drag across into its next frame, which is already here. So this one's already been prototyped up. After that, we're going to just dupe this screen again. So that's Command D.
Yeah.
Quick dupe.
I've been using that a lot lately since you showed us last month.
It is quite handy, that one. So I just want to delete some of the elements here because I want to turn this image, I want it full screen. And I want to use auto animate to actually help build that out. So again, a lot of that animation aspects, we can automate this a lot more quickly and easily. So, which is one of the beauties of XD, is you have to communicate quickly how you want the design to actually function. So this is where XD does come into its strength. So here we've gone full screen. I think let's just pull this to the front. So same shortcuts. You Command Shift bracket. So I'll pull that up to the front, and then I will just quickly drag the copy down. Get rid of that. Whoops. So we have quick description here. I'm going to grab the little play button.
Cool, very good. As you do that, hi Lise M. Maybe refresh your browser if you can't see the stream, because we are streaming at the moment. And hey, Nick, nice to see you.
So let me just move that down into a good spot, and then we can delete that. So what we're going to do, animate from here. So once you actually go to here, so Control Tab goes to prototype. So good thing with XD goes design, prototype, and sharing. So which is quite unique. So it's always good to get quick at Control Tab, moving in between both, and just testing it as you go along. So here, let's just drag this off. Going to have a tap, and the action we want is that auto animation. So once you tap here, it's going to auto animate and go full screen, hopefully. I will slow it down so we can have a good look at it, so you can see that I'm not sort of doing little fudgies. And then here, after we get to it, we can do another tap, and then let's just do a voice playback. So we have two voices. We have Nicole, and we've also got a Russell. So let's just go with Nicole for now.
Okay.
And let's just say, hope you enjoy the movie. So that's what we'll do. So again, we can start here with our animation. So I can command return. And that's going to open up my, basically my play screen, which is over on the top right. So you can see here as we go through, I'll just drag it to the left. So I can pull this across, back and forth. So that's doing that simple drag carousel. Once we click here, then we have that animate out. And then if I click it again, let's see if she comes through. Not talking to me. Oh, well,
enjoy the movie.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
She thought about it. So you can also do voice playback, and you can actually do voice activation to actually get that thing coming through. So, which is important nowadays because the voice.
It's all coming, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It is a trend at the moment. We'll see how that goes.
Do you have a voice device in your home?
I have two.
You have two.
So
do they talk to each other?
Yes.
They do a bit, don't they? Yeah. I got an Alexa, and or she who may not be named. That's what we call her in the house, because otherwise she starts talking back. Lise, glad you got it sorted out. And hey, Bangalore, India, in the house. Awesome. Good
wonderful.
To see you there. Yeah, what's up?
So that's our app. Now we're going to just jump over. So you've got an app. You want to promote this. You're going to actually do a nice InDesign layout in. You're going to do a nice movie layout in a poster layout in InDesign. So which is what we got here. Once we have done this, and you can sort of see just on the right of it, or left, depending on how you're looking at it. My right, your left.
Stage right.
So you can actually see the library panel. So libraries are assets that you can keep in here. They're saved onto the cloud, but you can use these across all your programs that you're using in. This gives you a single source of truth, of design truth or asset truth, or however you want to call it, that you can easily pull in and use throughout. So if I say I did use the big bird, and I'll show you how I'm going to capture that later. If I use that once and I wanted to change it, it would change across all instances. So it's very good if you've got logos and so forth. Any static sort of design aspects, like a logo that's consistent throughout, you put this in here and you can always update that on the fly. And then you can see what other elements we've got here. We can actually say videos, we can say templates, motion graphic templates as well. And we've got 3D models and materials as well. So all this, the reason why it's grayed out is because it's not relevant to InDesign.
Right. So what kind of files are they if they're grayed out?
Well, these ones are Illustrator, InDesign templates.
Right.
I can open this up and go back into it. This one's a video as well.
Cool.
So we'll touch on some of that a bit later.
Okay.
So I have this. I'm high-fiving my art director. I'm thinking this is awesome. I'm going to send this off to my client. So what we have now, and I think we have sort of explained this to others, but we can import PDF comments. So when you send this off to your client, you're going to export out a PDF, and the client will, if I just jump over to my Acrobat, so the client will come through, have a look at that, and they will put sort of comments in and tell me to change things, you know, agree or disagree. You know, they are our client, and you know, it's always good to have a second opinion on certain things.
Sure.
So here they've got copy that they want me to do. They've got some visual changes that I have to do. So I will do this here. So I'm going to import my PDF comment. So I have that on my desktop. As soon as I go and find my desktop. So here, this is the same one that we just had previously. Open that. If I import this in, it's going to import all the comments. So straight away, this is the program you're working in. It's good to have that right, you know, side by side. And I can actually go through here. You can see here it's a text change, you know, and I can actually accept that. So if I zoom down, so we can actually see if this comes through, when I accept, it would change that automatically.
Right.
Great with text. Okay, visually you have to still do that work. But you know, when here, once you've accepted it here, this is another one. Can we make this more of a logo? So they're asking for this aspect to be more of a logo. Okay, I'll come back and I'll show you quick way I did one. And then there's alignment issues, which I have down here because I was trying to do it too quickly for the client and didn't use my guides properly. Here also it's more text copy. So here I have this, and if I choose to, so I can have my copy and then I can also update that as well. Last one, I have look for picture options. So picture options will be here. Good thing here, I've used an element from the libraries. So I have my images here. You can sort of see here. So this one we got on Adobe stock, right? So you can see the blue circle. It means that I've already licensed this, so I can use this across the board. The other people in my team can use this as well. So if I wanted to have a look, I can still find similar, and it will open up Adobe stock and find similar imagery. So you'll see what will come through, but that also gives you another option. So there's a few that I've lined up. We've already got a series of imagery, so I can actually pull these in and use that straight away. So it's a good little thing. Even if you've got basic images and you need mood boards and all that, you can always use this as a way, you know, to actually help give you different options in imagery.
Well, it's great to be able to react to client, you know, comments and recommendations as fast as possible as well.
Yeah, it's
because you never know when they're going to come back with their feedback, and there's always a short period of time between you can get back to them. So as far anything you can speed up your workflow with getting your work back to clients, especially iterations, I think is always going to make you look a little bit more professional.
And time is money. Really,
time is money.
So,
literally money.
So here we've got text as well. So, you know, even like text, like because it's in the library, and I can do a quick example. If I go to edit, so it's going to open up this because it's in black or white, sorry. It's going to open this up. And if I wanted to let's change this to say black, copy, I can save this. Now, once I go back to my original, so I can actually, as you can see here, it's changed that straight away. So that's one of the beauties of having that library system, because if one person in the team has done an edit, then you can pull that back in. So that's quite handy.
And it's great not to have to save files and drop them in and realign them and make sure that everything's working all over again. Yeah, you just quickly jump around.
So I'm going to just save this just because it does drive me a bit nuts when you can't see it. So, okay, one of the comments before you saw was that they wanted to have a look at a different option for the logo. So this we're going to jump into. I'm going to use Photoshop to steal my image. And now I'm going to use Capture for this one. So we're going to just quickly show how this would be.
So wait, before we do that, can you explain Capture? Because I think Capture's a really cool app that I've used a couple of times, but I don't think it's as widely known as, say, InDesign and Photoshop.
No, it's not, and it is one of my favorites, definitely.
Yeah.
Because Adobe Capture, I'll quickly go to share the screen on this, so you can sort of see here. So we have here is, so here's our library that sort of sits here. This is Adobe capture, once we open it up, it looks like here it's got the eyeball. So you can sort of, with the eye itself, because whatever the eye sees, it's going to capture. So here you can sort of see up there at the top, we've got materials.
Right.
So it can actually take a photo of some sort of whatever material or so forth, surface you want to take a photo of, and it will capture this, and you can use this in 3D objects afterwards. Type, what here it would actually try to recognize text. Same as match font in Photoshop.
Right.
So where you can select text and it will go into the Adobe fonts and sort of match it as much as possible. Shapes, this is one of my favorites, and this is what we're going to do. So you can see one, I've already shot this just to test it before. And this is going to take a photo and it's going to turn it into a vector object.
Pretty cool. So obviously you wouldn't have to take this photo from your computer. You could take it from a newspaper or a wall, or it could be a real bird.
It could be a real bird. Which
it's not moving very much for a real bird.
Colours, again, that's wonderful here. Like, I'll quickly show you how this sort of looks, because if I'm picking out colours in the studio or see how colourful the room is.
Like that bit of extra behind the scenes stuff going on here as well. We've got a whole crew in the shot. It's nice.
So you pick out colours, and colour themes are always very important. So once I do pick it out, and then you can sort of see here, I can save this into my library and then reuse this in layouts.
Yeah, just to comment on that, we actually had Martina Martian on in December, I think it was, last year, and she's an illustrator, and she was using Capture when she was traveling. And so she was taking photos and then using Capture to get all the interesting colors from the area, and that was automatically syncing with her iPad Pro, and then she was doing an illustration when she came home, like on the train, on the plane. So just traveling really light, but creating this entire library of color. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, because you can not only just as the camera at the time, but you can also add imagery. So if you've got images, you can actually add that in as well, and then pull the colors out of that. Patterns is the next one. So, you have different options with patterns, depending on how you want to do it. So this is my keyboard. Well, let's go to the bird. It's all about the bird. So you can see how weird this is actually looking, but, it can give you a very unique sort of pattern.
And they come in as sort of infinite patterns as well. So it's not just the image that comes in. So you can put that on a T-shirt or fabric of some kind. You can make wallpaper out of it.
Yeah. You can decorate your house.
Good.
You can do whatever. Last one is brushes. Yeah, brushes. So here, like, this would be something I would have to sort of, do. This will be a bit weird if I did this, but you can make brushes and you can use these in Photoshop and that afterwards. So
cool.
Which is good. So back to our shapes. So here is my little bird. So I am going to take a photo of it so you can sort of see.
It's got some birdception happening.
It is. Alfred Hitchcock would love this.
He would.
So I've taken a photo. So let's just crop out what we don't want. Go straight to it. We can smooth it out a bit further so it'll give us a bit more detail in it. And then I can save. So you're going to see two birds come through, but they will come into my library. So there they both are. So shape 2, because I did not name.
Didn't label it.
Oh, no.
Deducting 1 point from Gryffindor. That's okay. We'll move on.
My creative director would kill me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so back into Illustrator. Getting lost in my software, aren't I? Okay, so we have here is our basic logo, and now what we're trying to do is have a look. So you can see straight away that in my libraries it has fed through. So there's shape 2. That has just come through. If I pull this out, and I'll just quickly label that. So there is my vector shape.
Nice.
So I can do this whatever I want to do, and you've sort of had a quick preview because I opened up the wrong screen, but you can actually see how easy it is to actually make this into an object. So let's just flip this to the right side.
Flip the bird live on Adobe APAC Live.
Yeah, well, actually, let's go further and let's puppetize it. So, this one, again, I spruik this one all the time. It is one of my favorites. It's that puppet walk. So here you can go in. So now it automatically picks out your object. So if you wanted your bird to be more dynamic, which I want it to pop.
It's the client thing.
You want it to pop. It's not popping. So here I can actually do that a bit more. So I can move that vector objects around. And then you have very quickly and easily. The client said that my logo wasn't a logo enough, so I have done this already. I can always do that, and I can pull this over and save this into my library afterwards. So
just click and drag. Yeah, very cool.
You do have the plus down the bottom, and that will sort of recognize what's involved. So here it's saying it's a graphic. If I was just doing the text, I can actually, so here's the text. It can actually even just add the text if I want. So it picks out all the elements within that. You can add this into your library as well. So it's a nice little trick. And, you know, we have a funky-ish logo. So after you've got your logo, and we are doing a movie, you do need merch.
Right.
So the merchandise is always
We need
important.
some swag.
We do. You know, it is very important. So lo and behold, I think I opened up a whole swathe of sort of merch before.
This is one you've prepared earlier, that's for sure.
Just quickly.
Just quickly, yeah.
So you can sort of see what we have here. This is a template, so what I've done is, you know, it's good to always show what's available. And when you actually, even with new, so like when you do new objects, there are a lot of, like here, you can actually see that there's a lot of sort of templates you can start with. So, you know, have a look here. You know, hopefully you can find something that will help. There is a lot available as well. So
I've been finding, you know, saving my own templates has been super useful, like over time, like investing in the time of really carefully labeling and having exact artboards ready for all the assets that I need to do. So I found that super useful in there.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, I think it saves everyone some time and all that, you know. Again, anything repeatable, you try to make it, make that a bit of a design system, so that way it doesn't take as much time. And you can actually get more in the ideation process. So here I do have my logo, and I have thrown it everywhere, as you can sort of see, because it's all about the branding.
Yeah.
Now, this is something we have shown. I'll just do it again because I think this is a sort of good example. If once we've done it, you can start global edit. So you can sort of see over here in the new property panel, start global edit. So what that's going to do is recognize all instances of this bird throughout my layout. So you can actually see where it's starting to label it, or it's highlighted all throughout all the instances. If I change this to yellow, you can see where it has changed all the times I've used it to yellow.
And that's regardless of, you know, changing size and...
Yeah, that's right. It's like right down, if I go really small, you can sort of see here, my little bird is still yellow. You can see some instances where it's broken up and I've only had the bird itself, so that's where I would maybe go through this, start the global edit, and then hopefully it would pick up my my instances. Okay, not on that one, but it should pick out and recognize with AI other instances of this, and then change that to yellow as well.
Right.
So yeah,
cool.
So very simple, quick, easy. Made a logo, did a little warp, and yeah, it's now we've merged up and we're ready to, you know, promote the movie even further.
Okay.
So,
what's this movie about? This theoretical movie? What would Sparrow be?
I will have to actually read about this. So it is about a young girl on a quest.
Right.
So what that relates back to Sparrow is beyond me, but I think I will go with this. I'm just helping with the design.
All right, cool. Cool.
But
journey to create
when it
merch.
does come out, I'm sure it's going to be a great movie, and I would recommend you go and see that. Okay, so we've done InDesign, we've done Illustrator and Capture, so we'll jump over into Dimension.
Okay, cool. And just a shout out if you're just joining us, I'm here with Jason Grant, and we're going through a multitude of apps to try to improve your workflow when you're jumping around from one to the other, showing off a couple of features, showing off a couple of the newer updates and things that you may have missed as well. But we're also here to answer your questions if you guys do have any questions. Yes. So feel free to jump in.
Absolutely.
As we go.
Yeah, and I think Festus, he did highlight too, it does save a lot of time when you are working across a lot. So it's really good like that. So now I'm jumping over into Dimension. So Dimension is one of the newer tools, and what it does is it does 3D for a 2D designer.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So here where you can add sort of 3D objects, there is quite a lot in the library. I got these two previously. I got them from stock. They were free. You know, But if I, instead of doing a photo shoot, and now I think this is something that's going to happen more and more as we move forward, instead of doing a photo shoot, we're going to do what we call synthetic photography.
Okay, synthetic photography.
Synthetic photography. So look at it. You think about car ads, they're not shot anymore. They're actually done computerized, from all aspects, from the driving of it, everything is actually done through computers. So,
they have those dummy cars that drive along and then they map it.
Then they throw the real car on top.
The real car on the top.
It's just amazing.
It's incredible.
So, and then because the beauty about that is they can throw accessories on top quite easily with a click of a button. And, you put a bike rack on top of the car. You can change it from green to red or whatever.
And the region, the side of the driver, all that sort of stuff.
So it saves a lot of time. So I think moving forward, it's a lot. It will be a great time saver because you do a lot of Photoshop as well. You do shoot, but then you have to retouch as well and all that. So the post-production is quite heavy. So here we can do this with dimension to a point. If you can ask your client, you may have clients who have certain packaging and they can ask for the CAD drawings, and then you can convert. There are online CAD converters.
You can convert from CAD, from computer-aided design.
To object. This uses object files. There are a few other formats, but it mainly uses object files.
Wow.
Moving forward, it will change. It will adapt more formats as well. So
there you go.
So this is roughly what you saw. Nice sneak peek. So we'll recreate this, and I'll show you how quickly and easy it is. But I'm going to do this, and this would push out a PSD file.
Right. Okay. Cool. So you could add some things to it afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Do touch ups and things.
100%. So again, cool. PSD. It's a different way to do it. You can always do this as a mock-up for, for products or whatever. But here I've done it as a movie poster because I did have time, and I do like popcorn. Okay. So I will start. Let's start from scratch, and I'll show you how quickly we can do this. So. Here we've got the blank canvas. I'll click and add my cup. So you can see that the old Coca-Cola has been added, and it always has to come hand in hand with a bit of popcorn.
So does this come with Dimension, or did you get these from Creative Cloud? These particular ones?
These models that we got out of Adobe Stock. So you do have. So this is still my library. So you see here we've got my two birds. And I've got my logo that I just made. With Adobe Stock, you have starter assets. So they will give you, and there are a lot of models already existing there. So this is something you can always start with, depending on what you want. There is a workflow where you can extrude out elements in Photoshop, if that's something you want to look at. But here we've purchased these ones on Adobe Stock.
Okay, cool.
Well, actually, we didn't purchase; they were free.
Right.
Sorry.
Even better.
Yeah. Who doesn't love free?
Everyone loves free.
So here we've got to, I think, let's make a bit more popcorn, less Coke. So if I go down to S, hit S right here, you can see up on my on the left side, S will be for size. I can pull this down, and then I can always make, whoops, hold my shift. I can make my popcorn a lot bigger. Wow. So again, simply, I can still rotate this around, if you want a bit more, make it a bit more dynamic, make it pop. That's where you can do that. Let's just get that above the ground. Oops. So here, I'll just lift it up. So, it is a simple way to actually do it. From here, you would start to add sort of different textures into that. So if I go back to my starter assets, so these have some really good ones already, and I've used these a lot. So you can sort of see here you got grey marble, you got gold, brass, copper. There's glass. There's actually glass itself, silver, water. There's a whole swathe that you can use to get started. Again, for this object, I would let's just double click into it, and then I can add plastic to that. So I've added plastic to it. If I click on the right side, I can actually go in and change what color my plastic is.
Cool.
So you can get as granular as you want. And here, again, you can actually see different aspects too. So I can add the roughness. You can just see that on your model, hopefully. Metallic might show it a bit better. So you can actually make things a bit more reflective and so forth. This is where, again, you start to realize what textures and materials are being used, and then match that as close as you can. So it's not you don't need a whole degree in 3D modeling.
Yeah,
You
no
can
more
actually
no
make
more
this.
gradient mesh.
Yes.
So many wasted hours.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there is a small field for that, but God bless them. Okay, so we can add here. So as I can sort of see, I just added in metal just so you can see what it looks like. Here we can do certain things, but that will cost too much. We'll give
metal popcorn tin. There's something wrong about that.
If I double click in, I can still change this to recently used, my black. So again, I have that sort of same consistency. I can go in, let's just add a bit of gold to this background so feels like what we're doing. Same with the sparrow theme. That's where we can start to do this. Now I can add packaging, I can add logos and so forth on top of here. So let's go back to our libraries. Let me see, I got my swish. Might add my swish onto the package. So I can move this around and then just rotate this until I find the right perspective of it. I also have a logo here. So I can add multiple elements, resize it, change it, whatever you have to do. It's really something you can do quite quickly and easily, as you can see, which is good. Maybe on the popcorn box, let's add in our yellow bird. There she is. And then let's add our logo itself. So here you can actually customize this as much as you want. It's really up to you how far you want to take this. But again, it's simple, easy. I can push out a PSD, and I will show you. I also pushed out something a bit different, which lets the client interact with it, which is also pretty cool. So I have this. This is a straight Photoshop file. So I have done this in Photoshop from a template. Because as you can I think there's a trend here that I haven't done much myself. I use a lot of templates. But here, I've moved this around. And then you've got a simple and easy sort of Photoshop layout. And I think we've used real objects. And if I really wanted to get granular, I would go in and make sure everything's lined up and make sure it's all as real as possible. Up in the top right here, so this is where there's something new that came through, publish 3D scene. So this is something that I have done, and I've done this before, but if I wanted to, I would create a public link. You can see I didn't name it. That was for time's sake. But, you can always export this out. So with render, it will export out a PNG or it would PNG or PSD. So it will give you that. And the good thing with PSDs too is that it will remember every sort of layer and so forth, so I can still go in, have a look, and it keeps my mask and so forth. So that's really handy. So I think we can do a whole thing around dimension. It is a nice new tool, and hopefully it will save a lot of time. It's just something different. Like this would be something you would maybe spend a lot in Photoshop to do. I think here hopefully you could save a bit of time on that, doing it through here. Yeah,
very cool. And you could obviously do it for swag like you were showing before, so that big flat layout that you had there, like if you had some clients that wanted to see their work on a tote bag, like posters in situ or some sort of 3D environment, you can jump in here.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I sort of quickly touched on, but you can extrude out that logo. You can always put it against, you can actually you can go to the office of the client. You can take a photo, and I will quickly show you what this sort of looks like. I'll put in an environment, and I can map that to the environment. So that's one of the advantages as well. So
cool.
Let's just jump ahead. I do have something that I have pre-baked. If I can show you. No, maybe not. It hasn't pre-baked through yet. All right, we can wait a little bit, and we can talk while this one publishes the scene. So this one is still publishing, but again, you can actually do a lot more. So here I can remove this background. So if I wanted to just get rid of this, let's get rid of this background. I can actually add this to any environment that I want. So I have some starter assets, and if I sort of mentioned before, if you wanted to show this, how this would work in the right environment. So if we say this one here looks a bit like a movie theater.
Someone's knocked it.
Can we stretch it that far?
Yeah.
So if I hit match object, now this is going to realize the whole lighting and so forth around it. Match camera perspective. So you can sort of see how it's the default ground plane where it's at. What it's going to try to do is recognize the ground plane that's, say, relative to that the desktop. So once I hit OK, straight away you can actually see how it's done that straight up. Really handy way to actually approach things. And so if I move that back, it will come through. You can see the reflective, so it's picking up like that sort of metallic sort of look as well, and shining that through. So that's really good. And then you can still go into, say, the environment. I can, move the lighting around depending on how I want, up the intensity. This one, it dropped back a bit, but, I still can get as granular as I have to, or, it's really up to you. You want to get this as right as much as possible, even the lighting itself. So it will pick it up. Maybe sometimes it might be a little bit off, but you can go in yourself and actually do that.
And so that lighting editing, that's like global for the whole scene. So for everything there. So it's not just the item, it's everything.
So I think at the moment with this image, it's picking out that the lighting will come, or the sunlight might be coming from the rear.
Right.
And it's going to try to match it. But here, if I pick this up, it will, do that. So that's one way. So we had the movie poster, a bit different. If we wanted to, so I only have, let's see. Okay, say my packaging design is good enough for a gallery.
Right.
Well, let's put
this
it
is
in
more
that.
like a contemporary installation of popcorn and Coke.
So yeah, here maybe it's good POP, point of purchase, or the big POS that they would do at the movie theaters. So here you can see straight up it's picking up that brown, and even the color and lighting, it's matching that as well. So it's a good sort of tool to do these sort of mock-ups, because again, half the idea is you're trying to communicate how your design's going to work in a real world. Same with XD, the prototyping, trying to communicate the best how it's going to work. Here with Dimension, again, if I did a POP and just said, oh, here's a bird with real on it, it doesn't sound as fabulous, but when I actually put it in the environment, then it actually comes to life.
And it's also like dealing with manufacturers and other people that you might work with. So you might be doing something that large, might be even set design or something like that. You might want to quickly mock something up so you can visually show, exactly how you want it to look, or as close to, rather than just saying, hey, we big popcorn and big Coke.
Big Coke.
You'd say this big.
Sales will go up X, Y, Z.
That's right.
Okay, this is still coming, so we might come back to that a bit later. So the 3D scene, so we can see where that's at. But yeah, so I think Dimension again, I think it's quite good. The possibilities and where this is going to go will be. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's happening. There's going to be that project of Aero.
Yeah,
Project Aero is coming through. So that's augmented reality, and a lot of some of the functionality and all that from Dimension will feed into that.
Yeah.
So.
Do you know when that's coming? Do you have any insider goss?
No, unfortunately.
No?
I would love to tell you. Yeah, I would love to tell you, but no, I would. I would just be
guessing,
thinking a number out of my head.
All right, cool.
Okay, so straight up, we've done Dimension now. Again, you've seen how easy it was to just jump around between our libraries. Again, I've still got a lot of things. I have used my templates. I have used my copy. I've used different backgrounds, different imagery, and my 3D objects, but I haven't used video. So now we might just keep this sort of quite basic, but I thought a nice quick way to do video is with Premiere Rush. So we go to our last one in the line. Premiere Rush is a new tool that just got launched last year. Great way for those who need like a quick intro into video editing, but it's a good way for those maybe their specialty isn't inside say video and you need to do say this instance we're going to mock up a vox box very quickly. We will go out and do a street beat, get some videos. What I'm doing on my phone and what I do on my desktop is the same experience.
Right.
Okay. Just preface this now that currently for the phone, it's only on iOS. It's only on Apple. Very soon it will be coming out with the Android version.
Android as well. Cool. Hey, just before we jump into Rush, Festus asks, with elements in your 3D art, like the popcorn in the bucket, once you bring it across to Photoshop, can you use various effects and filters on the popcorn to correct it?
Yes.
You can?
Yeah, so everything you would typically do in Photoshop, it's all the same. So, yeah, 100%. And that's where, you'll give it that little 5% love to make it go 100% better.
Yeah, and some people are so comfortable in Photoshop as well, they want to bring it back in so they can make the changes that they might be very comfortable and familiar with.
Yes, that's right. So, okay, so we're going to start a project in Rush. And so here I've got a basic asset. You can sort of hear, even if I scroll across, this is just going to be a low-res version video, so we can actually see. So when we did do that quick search before, there was all photos that did come up. There was also one video, so, which is really good. It's very handy. So hair itself is sort of the focal point and how it uses it. So I'm going to click this and add this to my image, and I will just hit create for now. So it is only one. If I had 3 or 4 different objects in that timeline, which is right where we are, so okay, you can see now it's come through. They would add that in sequence. Right. So it will populate across the timeline. So
in the order that you click it or the order that they're in the...
Yeah, it would actually have 1, 2, 3, which is something I should have done. But yeah, you can actually see here. So here I've got my basic object and you can sort of see, okay, that's quite nice. So here I can add in further media. So if I wanted to add titles, and I will show you that a bit later, I can add further media. So here, maybe I'll add my bird. That's a PNG. I add that. And just think of that, I would maybe think of this best as a logo itself. So if this was your logo design, I will pull this across into that layout, and I will quickly resize this and put this up in my bottom right. So you have a bird. I can still rotate it around so it looks like he's landing. But yeah,
don't cut his tail off.
Okay,
poor little fella.
There we go.
There we go.
So here we've got our logo, and and the bird's happy.
He's a happy bird now. He wasn't about to be.
Yeah, that would have been a
crisis averted.
It was. Thank you. Very, very astute. So we have that again logo. So you can put a PNG on top of this. It's quite simple and easy to add further media, whatever I did, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, I can add that, and then it will add that within wherever I see fit. But for now, I think we're happy. Select all. We're happy where that's at. The next button under it is the project bin, so it will just show you what's involved and what you have inside these assets. Down on the bottom left, unfortunately, I am in the way. Let me see if I can lift this up a little bit. So on the bottom left, I'll put it in between us.
Yep.
So you got different functions. So we have our cutter. So if I wanted to, say, cut this in the middle, I would cut, and then I can add some footage in between, depending on how you want to do it. Really up to you. So you can do that. You can duplicate media. So if you had a certain caption style that you have used, I would maybe hit dupe and then use that across multiple instances of a video. Naturally delete. Expand out my timeline, which is good. So you just want to see a bit further. And when you have voice, and we will add voice, we'll add someone speaking. They're going to be from the Philippines, but I'll show you what that looks like. So we can add media in here, and I can go back to my options. So I have some sample media, and this is the same sample media that you're actually going to have and you can play around with. This is all part of your Creative Cloud, so it's a good way that you can add this in. So I might add this, and I might add in background music. So we have some guys who just went and saw this on the beach, right? And now they're going to give us a review. So let me pull back my music.
This is going to go great with our background chill hop.
Yes. So I'm going to just pull this across slowly but surely so I can expand out.
While you're doing that, Scott was asking, can you export for Instagram aspect ratio?
Yes, and that's like, especially for something like this, it's a perfect environment to do that. So you want to promote a movie or anything like that. This is the social aspects that really come to forefront, and it is a good question because we will show you right at the end how that is possible.
Okay,
so,
cool. Good question.
Okay, so we have here. Let's top and tailor this. I might just give her a cut here. I'm sure she won't mind. So if I cut that and then put that towards the end, and that easily, so you can rearrange that footage quite quickly and simply. I can drag this out to make sure the bird is there for the whole thing. Here you can actually see there is, and when I expand out our menu, expand it out, and we have our timeline here. So you can see here, it sort of recognizes that there's voice to this, which is really handy.
So this is the audio that's been picked up from the actual camera. Okay.
That's right. So it will, and if we go to the top right, we have the titles. You have your certain transitions, and I'll show you what that will look like. I have color, so I can do quick color edits. I have audio itself. This is where I was sort of touching on. And if you hit advance, you can actually see that it's picked it up as a voice. So I can have music or other. So if there's a lot of background noise, it will pick it up as other. You just have to go back and name that it was voice. And then we have a cropping tool. So here we have that. We've got music in the background. So when you play music, and if I play this, so there's going to be that conflict of the music and then the person speaking. So I would actually hit auto duck on that. So if we can go in, as I hit auto duck, I'm hoping you can see here. So you can see how it has changed color, and it is what it's recognizing is that there's been a voice, and that you want to reduce the sound of the background music under it. So which is good. So
cool.
Simple, easy, and the great thing is I can open this in Premiere Pro afterwards.
Right.
So, okay, I can't do it both ways. It does let you export it over to Premiere Pro. You can export this out, as Scott asked before. I can share this to Instagram, Facebook, Behance, and YouTube.
YouTube. There you go.
So here, all right, so we've got things. Now I might add a quick transition here. So let's just put cross dissolves. You can see straight up, it adds it to the front and back. I can double click into this and actually expand out the duration if I wanted to. Really up to you how far you want to do this. The same thing when you're working on transitions with either with video clips or audio clips, it does the same. So if I wanted to dip the sound down at the end, I can add that to the thing, and you can actually see there it has added the dip, and that means when I go to sound, it will fade out.
Fades out. Nice.
Very, very quickly. But yeah, it does do that as well. So let's just add maybe cross dissolve there, and then we basically have our quick thing. So here I have that ability to go in colors. So I would almost, because it's too beachy, I would maybe black and white this one. I suppose you could always cinemate it. I can go into edits as well and actually go in a bit further and change certain things. Temperature wise, do we want to add the yellow in? That's something that we have that ability. We have all different certain functions, but let me say go back to none and maybe just add in a bit of yellow tone. Maybe not. Anyway, I'm actually making it worse, aren't I? But yeah, someone with a lot more time would actually go in and give that a bit more love, and then hopefully it will give you that consistent look through. So I could save that as a preset, and then add that to multiple elements in a film. Because if you're doing
what could you save as a preset?
The color.
The color. Okay.
So as you saw here, I did certain changes, not the best. I can actually go in and create that as a preset.
Okay.
So if I shot something 4 times during different times of the day, you can have different elements or so forth. If you want to create a consistency, you can do that with this create preset. Naturally, you can always open Premiere Pro and go a lot deeper, but this is just your top level. And if that's what the need is, then 100%, you want to push out video at speed, then this is a great tool to actually do that.
Cool.
Okay, last but not least, I think we need a title here. So titles themselves, so these are the ones, so all my if I go to all, there are a lot of presets already here, so I can easily click one of them as well. I have already done some in my, if I go down to my libraries, right down to the bottom, I've already saved a couple. So here, if I click this one, I can drag this in. My graphic, I can do exactly the same thing where I can pull this back, and then as I go in, I can add this to the start of my movie. I can go in and change this to Sparrow. Maybe a bit big, so let's just reduce it down. So these templates, motion graphic templates, are in After Effects and Premiere Pro. There's certain ones now, the Premiere Pro ones will match to Rush.
Right.
So hopefully soon After Effects ones will come through as well. So what I'm doing here, and I'm doing this more because it's a bit easier for everyone to see, the same sort of interface and so forth is exactly the same on the phone.
Right, yeah.
So, which is really handy. You know, especially if you're out and about and you've got to change things. So we have, look at that, it even animates. So these is, you know, again, to make certain professional sort of looking things. It happened really quick. I think I should give her a bit more time. But yeah, I can easily make a quick movie. I've got people wishing it was an awesome movie. And then I can always, you know, do that and add that at the end, pull that back, and I can add that to the back of the back of the clip. So we've made a really hasty Vox Box
in a very short amount of time.
Very short amount of time. We did a movie poster. We did a few different things. Movie POS or POP or whatever they call it. So we have all these things. Last thing you would do is share. So you can sort of see straight up we have the 4 different options, but you can also push out an MP4 as well. So this would save this in your cloud. If you hit sync with your Creative Cloud at the start, you can sync it, and what that would let you do is later on open this in Premiere Pro. So
right,
I'll quickly go back. I should have showed that at the start. But yeah, if I had signed in with my YouTube account, I can actually set when I'm actually pushing this out and when you can actually release it. So if you want to get the morning rush, you know, get the 7:30 crew when everyone's on their phone, you know, you can always time it like that.
Oh, cool.
Export out, and then I have my MP4. So I've done quick video and so forth. As I sort of said at the start, if you create new, and I had sync with Creative Cloud right down the bottom, then that will let me open this in Rush. And all your assets, whether on your phone, in your desktop, will be synced.
Sync to your libraries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sync to your assets.
Sync to assets.
Yeah, sync to your assets.
Cool.
But yeah, so that was everything done quite quickly. Hopefully it all made sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully there was benefits in that workflow. You know, I think as was mentioned before, it does help you keep things consistent throughout, so which is important. And again, you know, I don't know how many times you spend looking for an asset. You know, where's that logo, or is this the latest logo, or is it V2, or is it V3, or V4, or V5?
Well, I guess for me, it's often the logo and the assets are in multiple places at multiple times. Then the problem can be is if I've made some sort of small change to one of them, and then I don't remember which one it is, or which campaign was that for.
That's right.
You know, do we have to resize it? Why does it look so small? Oh, I have to go back and find out why I made all these changes in the past. But when it's always, as you were saying, there's like this one truth, there's this one place where everything's exactly as it should be, it can really help you out.
Yeah.
Takes out the guesswork.
Yes, hopefully, yeah. That single source is what we like to say, the single source of design truth. You know, and that way when you actually do push this out, so if we flick here, so when you have a library, you can, it is saved, it is part of your Creative Cloud. You can actually, so you can sync this in and share this out. So if I hit right click, I can invite people excuse me, I can invite people along. They can be a viewer or an editor. So you can manage who actually can change logos and so forth, or who can just use them. And here's all the assets that we have, all sit within our cloud.
Cool.
So that was it. See, I don't think this has come through yet, unfortunately. It's one of our sync issues within our little room. That is up here. But yeah, I recommend do try it. Have a go to see how that is, because people can actually go in and go and readjust that the 3D element in the environment. Sort of, it's a web based. They don't need the actual software to actually do that, and they can actually change that and move it around. So
cool.
But yeah, is there any further questions or queries? I'm hoping there was a lot of little nuggets in there, but you know, it would be something great to start with. And yeah, it's something that, yeah, it's a habit to try to form.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who's like a bit standoffish from using something like Creative Cloud like libraries? That hasn't tried it yet. Where should they start? For me, just to explain my situation, I found it really, really useful when I used it for like a particular client over a particular campaign. And once I did it with one client, I just found it so much easier, because I never even realized how often the client will come back and say, hey, can I have the exact same thing but for Instagram, or can we redo that with this image and all that sort of stuff. And so I found that when I was working with that particular client, when I opened my image, it was just so much easier, because I just click, change, done, export, grab the file, and then I'd shoot it through in an email. And I found that so much faster in comparison to some of my older clients, which I've just, you know, it's like a legacy system. It's something that I'm not going to probably bother to upload now and change now. But all my future clients I'm going to start using like libraries for, particularly for logos and fonts and imagery. And as you said, like anything that needs to stay consistent across multiple places.
Yeah, no, that's a really good user case too. And it is something that I sort of do recommend as well. It depends on how you are. If you're a freelancer, then yeah, absolutely go per client, have that sort of library. You can make as many libraries as you want, and each library can have 1,000 elements.
Yeah, so, you know, 1,000. Wow.
Yeah, knock yourself out. But yeah, you can do that. But so the thing is here, so you can, if I quickly go back, you can see that I have quite a few different ones here. Yeah. I can still, and I right click up here, if I go to all libraries, I can search through them. So if I have logo, I can search through it and all my logos will show up, that everywhere that I have used it. So that's really handy. So, you know, how you want to manage this as a design system, you know, is what works best for you. So if you want to do it per client, or if you're at a, say if you're an in-house studio, there's no reason why, okay, you would have like, say, Adobe brand.
Yep.
You know, you have the key elements around Adobe, you know, how it's used when it's against a white background, black background, all them sort of elements. You can keep that in this sort of system. So you will have your main elements, your fonts, your paragraph styles, your character styles. They sit within here. Colors all sit within here. Then on top of that, if you wanted to do a separate library for, say, Creative Cloud, and then you would have your XD logos and your Dimension logo and your InDesign logos, they would sit within there. People are using it and they are still synced. They are working like a linked asset, but except for it's sitting on the cloud. Yeah. So, yeah, very handy. And yeah, to keep that consistency is where it comes into its real strength, and the ability to change it wherever you are. So it is a good system to have. Maybe it's, you know, something that will sort of move forward quite strongly.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's great advice. Yeah, God, wow, we went through a lot today. And thank you all for joining us here at Adobe Live. Thank you, Jason Grant, very much.
Thank you.
We'll be back at the same time, 2 p.m. next Wednesday for some more creative content. See you then.
Awesome.